All to play for in Mirpur. Plenty for Team India to think about as they've gone one down in the series with two to play. One in Mirpur, one in Chattogram in a couple of days' time. But all the action will be in the capital in Dhaka to see if India can square the series and set it up beautifully for the last of three games. To build up to this game, as we always do, here we are on Cricbuzz Live. I'm joined by our regular team. We haven't made any changes here. We'll find out soon if Team India and Bangladesh do. Joy and DK in the house. Joy, they need the sort of stability, similar team, similar outlook, just have to do a few things differently.
Absolutely. And we, as I said, our all-rounders need to give all-round performances as well. I mean, so far, the all-rounders in the middle order are two things that India will be looking at very seriously. But that's what, most importantly, they'll be looking at a chance that they really missed. And this Indian team, Bangladesh has been such a good side at home that you're not going to get too many chances where you have them 9 down with 50 still to get. And, to allow them to win that match, that's what India would say that, let's finish it off. Next time when we get a chance, when we had the hand on their throats, let's finish them. Let them not come back.
Yeah, I think that was the big key takeout, DK, from the previous game. Hand on the throats, foot on the throats, if you like, and they just sort of squirmed out from there and won the game.
Morning, GV. Morning, Joy. I think you're absolutely right talking about it. And I think it doesn't happen too often either because not many times do we get to 9 wickets and then we end up giving them 50 runs. It happens quite a few times in Test cricket, but not so much in ODI cricket. But this was an anomaly, I would like to think, and they'll come back all guns firing today. It's a key game and something that's going to be really interesting to watch.
Well, at the very top, we've got a talking point, just in case we don't have enough. The build-up, everyone's suggesting, like in the first game, win toss, field first, just have a look at the surface. But Bangladesh have gone against the grain. Liton Das at the toss said it was difficult to bat in the second innings. Obviously, they made it look difficult. They ended up winning the game, but they have chosen to bat first. All the experts felt, even the ones sitting in Mirpur, that at least India would definitely want to bowl first. So, in a sense, DK, your first reaction to the decision, Bangladesh wanting to bat first and deciding to bat first?
I think it's an interesting one, considering they won chasing, but they were also behind the 8 ball at a stage, and that must have played on their minds. And you got to understand, when the batters batted in the second innings, they would have got a fair idea of the wicket. It started turning a lot more. Joy had, in fact, mentioned that it got much tougher in the second innings when they were batting. So I feel overall it's not a bad decision, something that would favor the Bangladesh spinners even more.
Would Rohit, you reckon, be happy with that, Joy?
I think you'll take it as it is. I think if you see, the one thing that they do look at, yes, it is not easier to bat second, but I think India has been traditionally a decent chasing side. You have people like Virat and all who are masters of the chase. You're going to say that, okay, I'd rather do it. And again, I think one of the big things was not having an understanding of exactly how much the target was, which Bangladesh would always understand those conditions better. So I think India, in that way, no matter how bad the conditions are, India prefer to say that, okay, let me chase and see where it goes.
I think these numbers tell a story. Average first inning score, thanks to the last game, has come down by about 5 runs. Average winning score, importantly, 263. So that's what you keep an eye on. Highest score chase, we know that happened a couple of days ago, 186. And lowest total defended, 246. So these are the numbers they look at. And at least India, DK, will feel that it's taken out of their hands. So Bangladesh come out there, put on 220. India know exactly what they're doing. They make 260. India know exactly what they need to do.
Absolutely. I think we can see that this is not one of those grounds which is going to give you 300 that easily. The spinners come into the picture a lot more. And the fact that with the ball turning a little more in the second innings, it could get harder. Rotation of strike could be a little hard. So they have to try and hit the odd boundary because the wicket is slow. So overall, I would say that right now it's a toss won by Bangladesh, and they are favoring something that the wicket is showing them. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things pan out from here. It's going to be a very, very interesting game of cricket, and that's what you want. Sometimes these bilaterals could get meaningless, but this one at this point of time has a lot of meaning to it.
The other question, Joy, since I said at the start, no changes for our Cricbuzz Live team, but we were not expecting perhaps more than one change for Team India, but they've actually made 2. And I think that's going to be something, getting a little bit of injection of pace in. Finally, we talked about it through the New Zealand series. Will he, won't he? Will he, won't he? The answer is he will. Akshar Patel, of course, was one we suggested could happen, but Umran Malik in. Joy?
Interesting. Again, what DK has been saying all this while, that raw pace in the middle, the enforcer pace in the middle is something which is a new template, which England started with Mark Wood, Lockie Ferguson for New Zealand. And I think India is looking at that pace saying, what else can I do different in the, after the ball is slightly older, what else can I do in the middle can make a difference? Raw pace, somebody who can come in at 150, 152, bustled in, something extra. It gives you a different dimension in the middle. And I think that's what Team India is trying to do. Akshar Patel was a natural change. Shahbaz bowled well, but if Akshar is fit, Akshar is India's perhaps second choice all-rounder after spin all-rounder after Ravindra Jadeja. He's an automatic choice, and given his record, he should be. I mean, if Akshar Patel is fit, he walks into that team. So none of these changes are really unexpected. The interesting one, though, is the Bangladesh team. And did you see the change out there?
Hassan Mahmood?
Yeah. So if they are going to bat first and they've played the extra spinner, they obviously think that this is going to get slower and lower as the day goes on. So that's the interesting one, that they're going to play that game. And now they've packed themselves with spinners. It'll be really interesting to see, 3 really top high quality spinners. It'll be really interesting to see how this game goes now.
DK, I'll come back to Bangladesh's change, but I want to get your thoughts on Umran Malik based on what we've seen off the surface. Yes, the spinners got a little bit of purchase, occasionally holding, occasionally keeping slow, but the bounce that we saw, both sides had occasions of the ball going for 5 wides. So Umran Malik will look at that and say, okay, if at my pace I can bend my back, I can get something out of the surface.
Yes, definitely. I think there is a lot of encouragement for fast bowlers, especially ones who hit the seam. We spoke about the fact that Kuldeep and Shardul would have been very useful last game, and they did pick up 5 wickets. And I could see something, rather Siraj and Kuldeep Sen is what we spoke about, and they did pick up 5 wickets out of the 9 that fell. So I feel Umran Malik will get a lot of purchase provided he hits the seam, and that will obviously make things tougher with the fact that he bowls 140, 145 a lot of the time. So that is raw pace. So if you can add in a little bit of seam to that, there will be quite a bit for him, and he could be somebody who can pick up a few wickets through the middle, which will be very useful for Team India.
And if as the suggestion is, it gets slower and lower as the match progresses, Umran would love the fact that India are bowling first.
No, absolutely. He'd love the fact that they're bowling first. I think he has to make the difference in the middle. I think India's feeling that there's just one enforcer shot somewhere. And I think they need to do that. I think they feel they get value out of Chahar and all up front. But Shardul has taken wickets. I thought Shardul bowled beautifully because he's not really a wicket taker in the middle. But I think what he did under the circumstances was he strangled them and got mistakes made out of them. And I think he did the turnaround for India. It'll be very interesting to see how Umran bowls, because you see 3-4 overs of pace, people talk about it, T20 cricket. But I think when the way he played in New Zealand, he showed he has that ability to bowl 9-10 overs for you and at pretty high clicks as well. And that's going to make a difference. Of course, remember the conditions in that stage were much cooler there for the kind of bowling that you do out here. Here, even though it's December, Dhaka is not exactly the coldest country in the world or the coldest city in the world.
Yeah, but ask people in that part of the world, the monkey caps are already out.
So don't talk about monkey caps. It's something, I also come from Kolkata. It's a matter of much shame to us for the rest of the world. But yeah, in that weather, we should be in t-shirts and jeans and we are in monkey caps. I mean, what can I say?
DK, in Chennai, when it gets to 25 degrees, what's your attire like?
We bring our wind cheaters out, GB.
There you go.
We can't handle the cold very well.
Totally. If you think Kolkata is bad, you can imagine what happens down south in Chennai. But Ibadat, DK, in the last game, at least set a template for what fast bowlers can do and not only get that bounce, but pick up the wickets as he did.
Ibadat was used very well, like how Umran Malik is going to be used today. Through the middle, infuse space, use the bouncer effectively, and try and rattle them with a little bit of pace. And that's something that is going to be a constant in one-day cricket, because I think Joy put it very well. You can't stop people from scoring runs. What you can do is pick up wickets, and that will in many ways stop the scoring rate, and that's what all teams are trying to do.
Yeah, and we saw that even when India were defending. It's a different matter about that last 50-run partnership, but till then, we gave them full credit for taking those 9 wickets in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to take wickets. The template has changed. And because bats are heavier, conditions are more favorable, there's much more video on the bowlers, it's difficult to defend yourself. You have to be on the attack even as a bowler now. And I think that is a sea change that the game has brought. And if you see I think it's benefited us all the way, even going to Test cricket and what's happening in Test cricket now. I mean, I think attacking bowling and attacking batting is good for the game because it gives you a completely different dimension to the way the game is played.
Well, we've like to involve all of you in there, as you always know. Lots of you jumping in to eavesdrop on our conversation on Cricbuzz Live, and some of you, more than that, like to contribute, be a part of the show, get in your questions. We read most of them, like to try and answer as many as possible. So for now, for today's show, we've picked out one on hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live, and this one comes from Lakshet Sehgal, and he asked, what are Cricbuzz Live's panel views on England's win over Pakistan at Rawalpindi? Yes, it may be a different format of the game, but when something like that happens in Test match cricket, it really becomes a talking point. It sets a template for a game. The attitude that Ben Stokes and his team showed, DK, it's going to be one for the ages, isn't it? 100 overs, 600 plus runs, second innings, 264 in just 35 overs. Telling them the draw, we don't understand what that word means.
It was one of the most fabulous games of Test cricket played on a flat wicket. When I saw the match on the first day, I was like, how are they going to pick 20 wickets? I know Ollie Robinson got man of the match, but for me, the man of the match was Ben Stokes and probably aided by Brendan McCullum. They are phenomenal. They're doing a lovely job. They are changing the landscape of cricket because Test cricket needs a bit of that right now. We keep speaking about, T20 obviously taking over the world, and you see even shorter formats coming through with crowds pulling in. But the last day in Rawalpindi, it was a full house, and the way Test cricket was played, it was just beautiful to watch. To bat at that strike rate, yes, you need a lot of skill, but also a lot of courage and clarity from team's point of view, and that was what was beautiful. What I really liked about England was the fact that they were willing to lose to win. That is a terrific quality to have. To throw that carrot out there to say, I don't mind losing, but if we get a sniff, we're going to go for it. I want to show you a target which is probably chaseable, but the way they did it, I thoroughly enjoyed the Test match. I know parallelly Australia was West Indies was going on, and an even more interesting wicket. But this Test match, even though it was a pitch which afforded nothing for the spinners or fast bowlers through the 5 days, they got 20 wickets there, and that I really enjoyed. Just pressure getting those wickets at the end. It was a beautiful Test match to have watched. I really am so happy with the way England are playing right now. They are the team to watch Test cricket for that matter, and most formats actually.
Yeah, I mean, whichever way you look at it, whether you talk about the declaration and Pakistan had more than a realistic chance of getting there. They brought a dead test alive, but the run rate that they scored at in the first innings and the second innings, I mean, they could have just said, okay, look, it's a dead wicket, sulked and gone to the next Test match as many teams would have.
Intent. It's just two really important things. Intent. I want to win. And remember throughout, if you watch what Brendan and the English captain Stokes before him, they're all been saying, is that what we want is to make Test matches interesting again. Because if you play boring cricket, you might have draws, but everyone is losing because crowds are going away. They don't want to watch Test matches like that. So one thing that they've made really well is intent. We always intend to win. We're always trying. And Brendan, I remember when he came to KKR, when he became captain also in that disastrous season, there's one thing he said that still stuck with me. He says that whenever we are in a situation as a team that you can take a chance of taking either one step forward or backwards, take that step forward no matter what happens. And that's how Brendan has defined his cricket and defined the teams that he's played with, he's captained, and now he's coached. There's one other thing they've done, which is less noticeable from what you do. So intent is very noticeable. There's one other thing they've done that's amazing. They have freed players from the fears of selection. And I can tell you this because, Owen Morgan talks about it. So many of the English people talk about it. Players know as long as they come and do their role on the team, it's not going to be about did they score 40 today or 30 today to get out. They're completely freed from that mind. You're the right person for the job, we'll give you the job. It doesn't matter. You might have failed 5 times before, you might have got it. But they've done this selection game in such a way that players don't feel that worry that, okay, I'm going out and playing for my place in the team. They've managed to create an atmosphere in the dressing room where people are proud to be selected and happy to be selected and not worrying that they will not get selected. And it's not easy to get. And I'm not sure they can maintain it for a very long time. But right now, everyone in that dressing room is pulling on the same side without fear. And that's huge, man. That's really huge.
Goes back to 2015 when they talked about DK's quote about being able to lose to win. Owen Morgan was willing to have them not bat the 50 overs, but get a certain number of runs. You get 330 all out in 40 overs. He was fine with that as long as they set their template and did what they were asked to do. And if you get to 330 in 40 overs, which is what they were aiming to do, and they won a World Cup 4 years later, it means there's some intent particularly being shown in the middle overs. And I think that's one of the talking points, DK, that we've been talking about with Team India. Clarity of roles and being able to bat at a certain sort of tempo that you'd like to set for yourself in those middle overs.
Yes, I think, sometimes you need to observe successful people, successful teams. You don't need to follow the same template, but understand what they're doing and why they're doing certain things well. And right now, what England is doing is they're willing to take risks to hit boundaries. They're picking players who can hit those boundaries, but also empowering them and giving them in many ways, the support to say, go out there and do it. We will back you if you fail. And that's what Team India will definitely require. People being empowered to take those risks. Let's take example of Washington Sundar playing a reverse sweep. I'm sure they wouldn't judge him, and they shouldn't, because that's the kind of shot which is going to get you a boundary, and then things start flowing. That is important. People having the courage to play those shots. And that is when you will get those results, because through the middle, it's no more about how well you bat in the power play. It's about how well you can bat through the middle as well, and then finish off strong. That is going to be important. For that, you need to be able to have the courage to take on those boundaries and take those risks within your game plan. That is very important. And I think that is what has helped England. They back players to do what they are good at. And in fact, if they don't do it, is when they are like, no, don't stop yourself. Go ahead and do it. That's the best way to challenge oppositions. And in a big game, do it even further. We back you even more. Let's get all out for 50, 60, doesn't matter. But when we get going, let's get 300, 330. That's what we want, and that's what we're looking at. And that will take courage. So they take the pitch out of the equation. Generally, we all are used to seeing a certain pitch, and then we decide this is what we can do. But in many ways, they're taking the pitch out of the equation with the mindset they have, which is beautiful to watch.
Yeah, there's two little gems we've got from DK.
Pitch out of the equation.
Lose to win, and prepare to lose to win, and take the pitch out of the equation.
You write that book, DK. That book has to be written by you. Seriously, these are really great insights, fantastic insights.
But I think that's something they can apply to, again, the middle order, rather than telling yourselves, okay, this is going to slow down, or this is what it's doing, so let's therefore react to that, rather than saying that we will do what we can do irrespective of the surface.
Yeah, and we will play the way we play best. I think that's also what he's saying. He's saying that, to try and tell Jos Buttler that this is a pitch on which you need to bat a bit carefully doesn't make sense. Jos Buttler, go and do what Jos Buttler does best. He plays in a particular way. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Back them to play the way they are used to playing. They're not playing the conditions, they're playing their strengths. And it's a completely different way of looking at things.
And I'll give you an example, Joy and GB. We played England in the bilateral in the T20s. Bhuvi sets up a field for an outswinger, makes it look like an outswinger, bowls a genuine, beautiful in-swinger. Bold, first ball, neck and crop. We won the game. We have scored 200 plus. We get Buttler out early. We won the game. Cut 2 months later, Jos Buttler and Hale's opening in Adelaide. The ball is supposed to swing, and it is swinging. First ball, he steps out, walks in, square drive, boundary. Next ball, he waits. Third ball, he steps out, again boundary. Fourth ball, he waits for the in-swing, flicks it. Literally game and done is dusted there. Why? Because the intent they've shown is you're going to swing the ball, I'm going to walk at you and play the shot. Then I'm going to wait for the ball that is, you're going to bowl at me because I know that's the option you have. I hit that for a boundary. They're chasing 170. They've got 12 for no loss and 1 over. But the key is they've already put a doubt in Bhuvneshwar's mind. That is important. He was being the key bowler through the World Cup with the new ball. What are we going to do? Let's take him on. Let's put him under pressure right away. It's not like let's see if it's swinging. Let us see if it is hard to play him. No. I'm going to give you my intent and show this is what I'm going to do. If I get out doing that, so be it. I don't mind. But I will rather take that first punch and throw it hard at you and let me see what you got. And that is what we need to be embracing.
Yeah, I think again, a fair point about the intent.
You need to record this show.
Yeah.
Because today you're on fire, DK.
Chapter 3, Joy.
He's on fire today, man. He's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, again, picking up from there in terms of India's composition, one thing we're talking about is intent. But if you look at the composition, is that heading towards the right intent? Because as we can see right now, you're talking about, if you can classify, and I think to be fair, we can, Deepak Chahar as in a category of an all-rounder. So you've got Akshar Patel, Washington Sundar, Shardul Thakur, Deepak Chahar in a composition that could easily have had two more specialist bowlers as opposed to a couple of bowlers who can contribute with the bat.
Yeah, no, look, I think the one of the things that we are looking at is this is a way India is sort of stacking up, but what they are also trying to do therefore is free the middle order to play more shots. They are actually allowing you by creating teams like this, and this is very much like an England team composition. If you look at it, England is the kind of team that plays with a lot of all-rounders, with Liam Livingstone coming in at 7-8, and a player of his quality who can hit the ball, but he can also bowl, give you some overs. What I'm trying to say is that they are creating, therefore what this Indian team is saying, literally is saying that, dude, we bat till 9. So 4, 5, 6 have to go harder. They have to go harder because if you bat till 9, I'm giving you that protection. I'm allowing you the freedom to play your shots. So what you don't want now for 4, 5, 6 is to say, you know what, if I get out quickly, there's so many middle order batsmen. India has a lot of middle order batsmen sitting out. Hardik's not here. Ravindra Jadeja will come in at some point in time. Surya is not playing this match. So there's a whole lot of batsmen sitting outside. But what they need to think about is not that if I get out, those guys are going to come in. But there's so many batsmen behind me. If I don't bat at 6+ and over at this spell and I allow the bowlers to dominate me, then I'm doing my team a disservice. I think that's the problem.
What's the direction, DK, you see for this particular team? Because I know in T20 cricket, we tend to analyze a number 7 and a number 8's role, saying, okay, they really don't play enough balls, so it's not the end of the world if you have someone who can't contribute that often with the bat, say at a number 8. But in ODI cricket, maybe that's slightly different.
Definitely. If I have to be honest here, I think we need to set the tone at the top of the order. Rohit and Shikhar, have to start pressing opponents, put them under pressure. We need to get those 1075, 1068, 1082 kind of scores. We cannot be 10 overs 45, 10 overs 48 for no loss. No more. The game has changed. They need to take the bowlers on. And that is where Shikhar needs to, up his strike rate. And that is what this game has come down to. Because let's look at it after that. We know what a Virat Kohli is going to do. He might take 10, 12 balls. Even yesterday, he took those 8, 9 balls. But his first shot was, he was willing to take on that sweep over short square leg. So he's willing to take intent after 8 to 10 balls. We know at number 4, if Surya is walking in, he is somebody who gets going rather straight away. And then we have KL Rahul. And then we have a Hardik and a Jadeja. Pretty much this is what our template is going to be. So if the players are going to be the same, then they have to bring in the attitude that is required in terms of intent to bat in international cricket. And what is international cricket asking right now? You saw, even after the way we hobbled and found a way to get 290 in New Zealand, they just made it look like an absolute joke after a point, because teams are now used to scoring in the last 20 overs, 140, 150 runs rather easily, because the T20 game has changed to such an extent that par score is no more 140. It has become 180 now. So 150 feels like, if I have 5 wickets in hand, it is gettable. It's not that hard. In the last 10 to get 80, 85, you don't need to push yourself. It happens a lot of the times. So that is something that they're used to. So you need to set up a score where they are scoring 150 or 170 in the last 20 overs if the wicket is flat. And for that, you need to get scores of 340 or 370, 360. I know this could be asking for a lot, but this is what the game demands. I still feel India will have, in many ways in the World Cup, we have 9 league matches and we will cruise through that. But come the semi-final, that is where the pressure will start. When we bat first, we have to have the courage to take on. If we're batting first, we need to be able to get those big scores to put the opponent under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, today it'll be a different kind of challenge because India will basically have to respond to whatever Bangladesh does since they are batting first. But had they been setting a total, it would have been different. But even whatever they chase, for someone like a Shikhar Dhawan, for himself individually, for that slot, which while we might have been talking up Rohit Shikhar and that partnership, there's still enough options out there and enough feasible options, be it a Ruturaj Gaikwad, a Shubman Gill, who Team India knows that if they can go to them, if Shikhar doesn't perform.
Absolutely, there are lots of players sitting out there. There's Prithvi Shaw, who I still think is one of the most destructive batsmen in the world. Period. There is I I sometimes wonder that India is such a strong team that a player of the talent of Prithvi Shaw doesn't play. I mean, because he is phenomenally talented at that level and can hit almost anybody. So, no, that's what I'm saying. Shikhar cannot today say that it's 80, 85. Those days have changed, those days have gone. And I think that's the one big thing is because we are favorites, because we are by far the biggest, most supported team, by far the richest team in the world in terms of the riches our players get, both off the field, in the IPL, everywhere else, endorsements. The pressure also that our players feel when they go out is much higher. But that's what I'm saying. So the problem is that dealing with that pressure and playing with freedom is a very, very difficult thing. I mean, the more I see it, the 83 World Cup team was a great team, but they won without any pressure. There was zero pressure. They had tickets bought to go to the USA for a holiday. The 2011 World Cup team is perhaps a team with the maximum pressure. Sachin there, Dhoni there, all the top players there. The fact that they won, it's now, we used to look at it in those days and say that it's a great victory, but India was a favourite. Now you look at it and say, wow, they handled the pressure of playing so well. And because we've done exactly that. If you see 15, if you see 19, we've always cruised through the league stages. We've managed to make it there. It's the pressure points that has actually stuck us down.
Joy has brought up a beautiful point here, talking about the 2011 World Cup. And the one player that stands out, and I feel at times we speak less, is Virender Sehwag. What did he do up there? Take on even the first ball of the game, hit it for a boundary. But after that, he consistently batted over a strike rate of 100. It came to him naturally, and that put pressure on opponents. That was one of the main reasons why India was feared, because up top, they know they had to get Virender Sehwag early, because if they didn't do that, then the strike rate or the run rate rather was going upwards of 6 consistently. That is the fear that we need to walk into a game with, that these openers will come hard at us. Now we are playing in such a way that we take time and then we make up later. We take time, and when you have too many players trying to do that, if a couple of them have a bad day, then it leaves a lot to be desired at the back end. We need to take on the game in such a way that if they do it and they get out, we still have a certain run rate to maintain, and then we push from there. That is the way that we need to be setting the template.
Yeah, I think for the longest time we looked at that just as a statistical anomaly. He got a boundary of the first ball of 4 or 5 consecutive games, or maybe it was 6. But more than statistics, I think what DK's point is here, it was the mindset that led to that strike rate that he continued on, and then everyone else could follow suit. But for the moment, let's park India's batting strategy, batting attitude, because they're going to be chasing. India bowling first. Bangladesh have won the toss, decided to bat first. And we're going to see, of course, Umran Malik with his extra pace, but the man who performed in the previous game, and it's been quite a story for Mohammad Siraj. Of course, he's shown himself in the longest format of the game, but not just this particular performance, DK, but overall, the return of Siraj, in a sense, after not the best IPL in the world, has been heartening for Team India.
Yes, definitely. I think Siraj has been arguably the best bowler in ODI cricket in this year for India. I think he's done really well in the chances given to him, and he's given a couple of man of the series performances. So he's obviously somebody who's thrown his hat in the ring, and he's bowling well. And like I said, he is somebody who can get you wickets through the middle because of his seam position. He has a genuine outswinger going, but more importantly, when he bowls the scramble seam, the ball does come in, and that is very important to get wickets off. You get a lot of wickets with the ball coming back in, and he has that natural ability to do that. So that is a skill that India need to use through the middle, and that is something that they'll be very keen and seeing, because he has the potential to get good batters out when they are set, and that's a good quality to have as a fast bowler.
And again, the resources in the bowling department, looking a year ahead, you're not exactly sure what the combination is likely to be. Jasprit Bumrah is likely and should be the leader of the attack, but after that, numbers 2, 3 and 4, or maybe 2 and 3 will be critical.
Yeah, because, it doesn't seem that Shami is a part of the India's long-term white ball plans, at least. No, neither Bhuvi. I don't think Bhuvi is also somebody they look at, perhaps the long term. So, yes, then when you're coming to the Sirajas of the world, the Prasidh Krishnas of the world, our Umran Malik is in the mix. Shardul, obviously, if he's here, is in some way in part of the mix as well, as a sort of bowling all-rounder. So all those players are there, but I would definitely, because Siraj has that, again, what we talk about. Anyone who bowls Jaffas, you can, bowl you 1 or 2, 3, 4 Jaffas in a spell, where those balls, that, you can get wickets of those balls. And He is a wicket-taking bowler. Finally, what we're talking about is if scores are increasing, wicket-taking bowlers are so valuable. And Siraj has not been the most economical of bowlers, but he's always been a wicket-taker. Always been a wicket-taker.
Will he, won't he? That's the question mark that we will continue to have. One more quick reminder. Yes, second game, we were expecting win, toss, bowl first. It hasn't happened from Bangladesh's point of view. There's something about the local conditions that the local stand-in captain, Liton Das, has decided that the Bangladesh openers will stride out. And as they stride out, we will take our giant strides into our question of the day in the able hands of our quiz guru.
It's a fun one. 3 cricketers debuted in the same test in 2011. I'm not telling you which country. Of the 3, 2 are still playing international cricket, but the one who retired was the player of the match on debut. Just name all 3. So 3 guys made the debut, which is quite unusual. 2 of them are still playing 11 years later, but the guy who actually not playing now, he's already retired from international cricket, was the player of the match.
Interesting. Okay, there you go. Think about it, figure it out. And of course, we need to figure out our lives because we went to 280, 290, 300 in that range, and we finished at 186. So are we going to sort of average it out into the 240 range, DK? Is that where we are headed today?
I'm going to give it 217.
217, I like it. This is his day. Yeah. I mean, the way we've gone to chapter 3, 217 comes from chapter 4.
I'm okay. 217. I'm going to go 234.
217,
234. Will I get in there if I go under 200?
Huh? You can go. Chance. No. Your visas. Gautam.
If you don't make the same mistake twice now, come on. You want to get into Bangladesh.
Okay.
Try and go up.
Okay, I'll go up. Okay, I'm just, for the record, I'm stating that I would have thought of 196, but I will go with 249.
Don't give 2 answers, Gautam. 1 answer.
Okay, fine. 249. 249 it is. 249 it is, and it will be chased down by Team India. We will go to Chattogram 1-all, and it'll be all to play for and so much more for us to talk about. That's all we have on the show. 15th and 35th overs, we'll be back on Cricbuzz Combox. We'll see you in the first of them on the 15th over. For now, that's all we have on our build-up show on Cricbuzz Live.